Go.
Good afternoon. My name is David Mouton, and today I'll be discussing the negative impacts of the meat industry in order to promote a less consumption of this resource. In addition, in order to achieve this, I will address the negative environmental impacts of producing meat, and I will address the causes and origination of meat production, as well as emphasize the solutions individuals must take in order to mitigate the environmental impacts of the meat industry. In society, meat is viewed as a vital resource in order to optimize one's health levels. Although this is not entirely true, the production of meat and the meat itself is viewed as a nutritional necessity, and it's encouraged to be consumed in society. Although through this encouraged consumption, over $38 billion is given and spent to support the meat industry every year. This proves that meat is a massively produced resource, and in fact, over the past 50 years, global meat production has quadrupled in size and promoting and producing over 308 million tons of meat per year. Through the production of meat, it produces various environmental impacts. As evidenced in this picture above, it shows that 1/4 pound of beef requires 6.7 pounds of grains, and vegetation also requires 52.8 gallons of water, 74.5 acres of land, and 1,036 units of fossil fuel energy. Among the various environmental impairments from the production of meat, the greenhouse gas emissions proved to be the most prominent. Statistically, the total emissions of producing meat amounts to 14.5% of the total human-induced emissions in society. This encourages not only climate change, but also global warming and pollution, which all prove to be detrimental to the individuals in society. In addition, the production of meat is extremely water-intensive. Statistically, 1 pound of beef requires 1,799 gallons of water. This can be compared to 3 pounds of potatoes, which only requires 357 gallons of water. This shows that meat is detrimental because it intensifies the depletion of water, a nutrient that is necessary in order to survive. Also, the production of meat requires an overuse of land. In order to allow animals to thrive and grow, they need copious amounts of crops and vegetation. This proves to be wasteful in society because in order for them to be fed, they are eventually killed, and their meat is given to us humans in order for us to survive. This is damaging because these resources can be provided to those who are struggling with starvation and malnutrition. Also, with this overuse of land, it encourages deforestation. This proves that meat not only impacts our environment, but also us as individuals. Through this production of meat, we have to realize the origination of this prevalence in our society. This is due to the ads and commercials that glorifies the consumption of meat. They promote the high consumption of this resource by encouraging that this is a normal and safe resource in our environment, but in reality, it's truly not. Also, this increases the demand of the meat in our society. In fact, the global meat processes have tripled since the 1970s, and they have increased by 20% from 2000 to 2010. Now, knowing the detriments due to the production of meat, once you consider the solutions that are evident in society. On a personal level, individuals should consider consuming less meat and producing less of this resource, or purchasing less of this resource. Ultimately, money shows a sign of adequacy in society. It shows that they support something, and in terms of purchasing meat, it shows that they support the environmental impairments it places in society. As stated earlier, 1/4 pound of beef is extremely detrimental, and this proves that one's contributions in consuming less of this resource is extremely impactful no matter the amount. On a more local level and social level, animal sanctuaries should also be implemented more in society. These places serve as refuges for animals and allow them to live extensively throughout their whole lives. Although this is purpose for ethical reasons, it also indirectly promotes environmental reasons because it physically and directly discourages animals from being implemented into the meat industry. Lastly, on a more global level, the super meat technology should be a foundation that should be considered in society. Through this technology, cells are extracted from the animals in which they are monitored in a laboratory, and they are produced and allowed to duplicate in order to form a full meat muscle in which can be consumed. This not only promotes ethical reasons, but also environmental benefits. In fact, in their promotion of this technology and innovation, they advocate themselves as requiring 99% less land, 90% less water, and 90% less greenhouse gas emissions. Through this video, it will display what super meat is and what its places in our society.
This is what a vegan looks like to a meat eater. This is what a meat eater looks like to a vegan. Shame. Why? Because it's an amazing solution. Did I say amazing? I meant super groundbreaking, world-changing, awesome. What is it? Let me ask you this first. What would be better than getting meat from killing animals? Getting meat without killing animals? Yeah, sure you say. But also teleporting to other countries would be awesome. Yeah, it would. But that's not possible. Yet, what we're saying is possible. Here we go again. Eating meat without killing animals. Write this name down. Super meat. What do? Real meat, not harming animals. No, it's not fake meat, Tampa meat, almost meat, or all those other non-meats. It's real meat that tastes and feels like meat because it is real meat without harming animals.
This proves that more meat can be produced through less animal sources, thus requiring less resources and also implementing less environmental impairments to our society. In conclusion, the production of meat serves to be detrimental to our environment and to us as individuals. In order to value the production of meat and realize the impacts it serves, one must notice the origination of it due to the societal pressures of consuming meat. In addition, people should consider the many solutions in society, such as the less consumption of meat, also the more implementation of animal sanctuaries, and lastly, it's funding the super meat technology. Thank you. Do you have any questions?
So how are you supposed to get meat without harming animals?
Well, in this technology, they like extract the stem cells from the muscle, and then they have the technology to multiply the cell into forming the muscle. So it's kind of like meat without requiring all the resources, and it's not as detrimental. They haven't extensively performed this because they need the funding, but the science behind it proves that this will work.
How would this change the meat industry impact the job industry that's around it?
Well, if this technology was created, this would lessen the jobs, and it would also be economically detrimental to some people, but I feel like the environmental mishaps to all the people in society proves to be more damaging. So that's more of a concern to us in society, I feel like. Any more questions? Okay, thank you very much.